If it's a day called today, we're talking guitars and life. How does the N.A.G, not a Gibson guitar, in this package compare with my first? Let's check it out. Well, guys, we've got our second N.A.G, not a Gibson, i.e. Gibson guitar in the shop today. This one came packaged really differently than the first one. The first one was just in like a cardboard box. It did have a styrofoam little coffin situation that it was in. I'm going to put my razor blade on a very thin setting here. Try to go down the seam. This tape. See if we can't look at a guitar today, man. Man, how you guys doing, man? What are you doing today? You working? You got me on in the background? You working on a guitar, man? What kind of projects you got going on, man? Man, whatever it is you're doing today, I pray that you're digging what you're doing and doing what you dig, Jack. That you're hanging out with people who affirm you and champion you. Yeah, man. Appreciate and value you. And life is too short, man, not to have good friends around you who get your stuff and allow you to dig what you dig, man. My family is so cool because my wife, it's Valentine's Day, the filming date, this recording, and it is giving me the time to open this box before we go out and celebrate this evening. May also be somebody's big birthday today. Somebody may or may not be turning 60 years of age. That seems a little bit aggressive, doesn't it? Yeah, man. Where does the time go, my friends? Life is short, guys, gals, brothers and sisters, boys and girls. Prioritize what's important, man. What's really, really important in life. Don't get sucked into nonsense. Well, if I could get this box open, we would look at a guitar today. We would look at a guitar if I could get the box open. Okay, there we go. We got a little bit of progress on this end. And we got a little bit of progress on this end. I'm trying not to damage it too much. Sorry if it's loud. Well, looky there. We've got us a guitar. Man, I was watching another channel today that I really dig, man. And the cat was saying, man, nobody wants to see a boring unboxing. So, I don't know, man. You guys feel that way? I don't know. I think some people want to see it, man. They want to know how the guitar is going to be packaged. You know. To each his own, man. You know what I say? You do you, bro. You do you. Alright, so here's an interesting thing. So one of the things we've been talking about with the Gibson guitars is how they get through customs. I noticed that this little piece of aluminum tape is in a rubber band over the headstock of this guitar. And certainly I think you noticed how well this box was packaged. I'm pretty sure that's done so that nobody at customs opens this box to look at it, and whatever kind of device they have reading products probably can't read beyond this shield. But hey, I'm not a scientist. If anybody knows about that, hey, guess what, man? Put it in the comments. Alright, guys. We're supposed to be doing a guitar, aren't we? So this guitar is in this box fairly well. And I've heard a lot of guys talk about this, man. I can smell the lacquer. It is really pungent, man. Really pungent. There we go. So in the bag you have a guitar. In the bag you have your cheapo cable. You have a truss rod key, and that's interesting. The switch knob is actually in the plastic bag, which I'm assuming means it is not on the guitar. That's interesting. All right, so what do we have in the bag, man? Hey, if you've been hanging on the channel, what you know is we've been looking at budget LP guitars. We have been comparing a Jaymz Kit build. You can see a full description of the Jaymz Kit build and my first N.A.G, not a Gibson guitar. And man, it was a good guitar out of the box. It was mostly intonated. I got that guitar playing well. I set it up. I did my fret stuff to it, man. Made a showdown video of it. And yeah, it was a really, really good guitar out of the box. It was a great guitar when I was done with it, but it wasn't quite the right color. It was a cherry burst. And I wanted more of a honey burst or a tobacco burst. Oh man. Yeah, man. Something like that right there. Wow, man. That is groovy looking. All right, so a couple of things that are interesting straightway. One thing that's interesting is that usually when you buy a Gibson, every video I've seen of a Gibson being unboxed, there's a sticker over Gibson. This one doesn't have a sticker over Gibson, but remember, outside of the bag, the rubber band, this was placed right there, i.e. covering up Gibson. Is that unethical and cheating the system? It absolutely is cheating the system. Absolutely is. Guys, this is a nice looking guitar. Well, I think what I'm going to do, let me just kind of look things over. Yeah, the back of the guitar, I see some, a little bit of finished scratches and all that. It's not a big deal for me. Got a strap button that is tight and secure. The binding around the neck pocket, all that looks legit. The binding on the other side looks good around the horn. Jack, yep. And the bottom strap lock button is tight and secure. That's a good looking back of a guitar. The front of the guitar, I've got a little bit of a black kind of a spot under the finish here. You might remember the last N.A.G had one. It was more over here. I've got the 4 top hat situation. Got a Tune-O-Matic bridge kind of looking thing. Got a little switch going on here. I'm not going to put the switch tip on there just yet. I've got one covered pickup and one uncovered pickup. And this is somebody's signature here. It did not say in the description whose signature that was supposed to be. I think maybe that's a Jimmy Page thing. I'll have to do some research on this. Does anybody know? Does anybody? Well, you can't see it from there. I'll do close-ups in a minute, guys. So what's going to follow is some under the hood vids. Of course, you guys who hang on the channel know that. Hey, if you don't hang on the channel, this is your first time, welcome. Come back anytime and hang out with us at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. Alright, so the neck of this thing looks to be in good shape. The binding looks good. Yeah, fret edges. Yeah, there's a couple here that are... There's nothing sharp. It's not grabbing my fingers or anything like that. I can feel the frets more than I'd like to. So I will be filing those down. Guys, that's all player preference, man. If you don't care, then you don't care. The string action, of course, is super high. There's quite a bit, well, there's a little bit of relief in the neck. Not as much as I might have thought. And the strings are not taut. They're loose for shipping. Man, somebody's doing a good job, man. I don't know how you feel about the Gibson scene, man, but somebody's doing a good job to ship these things out, protect them well. All right, so back of the headstock, I've got no conceivable issues. Cal pointed out on the last one that I had one of the tuners was kind of sort of bent. This one also has one tuner. It is the bass E. That's just a little bit off kilter. That's not a showstopper for me. If you've been on the channel, you already know that. The fingerboard itself is cleanish. The frets are, you know, they're super scratchy. They're not as scratchy as some I've seen, but they are scratchy. So I will be doing, I know for sure just so far if you're playing the home game, I will be filing the fret edges just for my player preference. I will, when we get to under the hood stuff, I will check the frets. We have high frets. I will level, I will crown, I will polish, I will clean and condition the fingerboard. But this looks like a better fingerboard than the last N.A.G, and the last N.A.G it was fine. It just had a bunch of weirdness on the first fret. Up here at the top we've got, of course, Gibson, which is not true. We've got Les Paul model. And we've got on the truss rod cover Les Paul standard. And I've got no visible defects. I was telling somebody, I think it was 2Bike Mike, you know, sometimes, man, when I take these out of the box and I look at them, I'm not as observant as I am when I do under the hood. So, man, well, guys, there she is, man. So the description on Temu said that this was a light, I think they called it brown, tiger stripes. Looks pretty good. Those stripes are not as pronounced. And I'll do close-ups of all this, guys. As the kit guitar, man, those stripes were just popping. That veneer was really good on the Jaymz Kit Guitar. If you're looking for a good veneer that's popping, that's cool. But yeah, man, I don't know who signed, whose signature this is supposed to be, but this whole thing's got to go. I don't roll like that. But anyway, guys, that is the Gibson out of the box, man. I'm all in at $220, the price of the guitar and tax, no shipping. It shipped from a local warehouse somewhere in California, so this guitar had made the trip from China to California, obviously, where it sat awaiting my purchase. Man, I can't wait to get into this, man. Stick around, guys. If you like this kind of content, why don't you like the video? Consider subscribing to the channel. Come back anytime and hang out with us at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. And now, let's get back to it. Hey, let's talk about some first impressions, shall we? Well, I've played the guitar very briefly. I'm going to put about 2 minutes and 45 seconds worth of random noodling, some tone samples at the end of these remarks if you want to stick around and hear how the guitar sounded out of the box. I haven't set the guitar up. I haven't lowered the action. I haven't even tweaked the truss rod. It's the strings that came with the guitar, these kind of squeaky, sticky frets. And but yeah, I just wanted you to hear, you know, just kind of how the pickups sound. I didn't even take the plastic off the pickups yet. So very raw, and look, nobody, and I mean nobody, comes to Ted Talks Guitars and Life to hear me play guitar. So don't expect a show, just some tone samples. So first impressions. Well, we're going to go under the hood in the videos that follow, but what I can tell you about this guitar so far, just spending a little bit of time that I've spent with it, is there are lots of similarities between this guitar and the N.A.G. The tuners, the original N.A.G, I guess I should say, N.A.G 1, and I guess for right now, guys, we're going N.A.G 2. I'm tempted to call her Honey. She'd technically be my 5th Honeyburst guitar, but that may be what we land with down the road. I don't know. Put it in the comments, guys. What do you think? So I'll start up here with the tuners. So the tuners on this guitar are very much the same kind of tuners as I had on the first N.A.G guitar through the shop. They are the green plastic tip kind of tuners. There's no slack in them at all. They seem to be holding tune fairly well. Again, only time will tell on that deal. The nut is plastic, but it is cut very well. I may or may not need to file that down just a little bit to my player preference. The neck is very much, it's not a modern C-shaped neck. It's a thicker C neck. Feels like a 1950 something LP style neck. Those of you who have had those, just like the original N.A.G, all the comments that I made about that neck I would make about this neck. It feels more like an LP to me. I like a chunkier neck on an LP guitar. The frets are super scratchy, and the fret ends, I will want to file those down. There's nothing really majorly cutting my fingers or anything like that, but me personally, I don't like to feel the fret ends, and I don't like to have any issues with sliding up the neck, either from the comfortable nature of sliding up given the edges of the fret, or the frets themselves being grody or sticky in any way. So I'll be taking my file and filing the edges of these frets. I will check the frets later and under the hood to see if we have any high frets. If we have high frets, I will address those. If I have to level the frets, I will. Then I will crown and polish the frets per usual. If you hang on the channel, you already know that. And I will clean and condition this fingerboard. The fingerboard looks very much the same as the fingerboard on the other guitar, except I don't have as much first fret. Certainly don't have the scratches that were on the first N.A.G. There is something that looks a little bit like some kind of residue up there that I'll deal with, but everything else looks pretty good. And I know you can't see that from there, and so I'll be going over this guitar completely and under the hood. We'll take it down to the component level. We will evaluate everything. The strap lock buttons are kind of these mushroomy buttons. I really like those. The back and the back of the neck look really clean. Are there some scratches on here? Yeah, there's some light scratches, kind of buffing marks. Yeah, swirlies, sure, all that. $200 guitar, guys, that's not a showstopper for me. I won't even buff those out. Doesn't matter to me at all. Got the top hat, volume and tone knobs. I will more than likely be getting speed knobs. I have some speed knobs, but they're amber, and so I will, and under the hood, maybe put those side by side and see which ones I like better. I will be taking off the pick guard. I just don't use a pick guard on my LPs. The switch seems okay for right now. The pickup height needs to be adjusted. The bridge is too high. The neck pickup is too low just from an eyeball. I will get tools out and measure all of that later. A couple things about this guitar that are a little bit distinctive from the first N.A.G. One thing is that it has that same kind of marking in the horn area, except this one is covered up much better. You may remember on the other N.A.G. you could see the gap, and what I'm calling the gap is the distance between the actual piece of wood and the veneer. There was a little bit of a, well, anyway, guys, you're just going to have to go back to the playlist for the N.A.G. under the hood to see that. Also, the Leo kit had that same kind of weirdness here in the heel. This guitar, it is, if you really look, you can see one spot, at least in this lighting. We'll put spotlights on it and flashlights and UV lights and all that on it. So you can see it if you really try to, but other than that, they covered it up very, very well. The second distinction about this guitar is that this guitar does not have the wheel turns on the Tune-o-matic bridge. It has the flathead screw kind of pole pieces here. So that's kind of interesting to me, because one of the things I'm trying to assess is whether or not the Gibson guitars are all about the same quality. And I know that that's not. My wife and I were talking about something today, and our cars, my wife and I drive the same model car, same year, same model, same manufacturer, and she likes mine better, and so do I. And she was saying, well, our cars are identical. Why is yours better from our driving preferences? And I said, I don't know, babe. It's just like guitars. They can be made in the same factory by the same people, but kind of like snowflakes. They're all a little bit different. So I was curious about the distinctions between the guitars, even though I know that there's going to be a nuance of difference, even if they were made in the same factory by the same people. But that said, the Tune-O-Matic bridge does not have the wheel adjustment. It has the flathead screw adjustment. The tailpiece looks to be pretty much exactly as the other tailpiece was, minus the gunkiness. The other one was kind of gunky. The pickups are different, at least in their presentation. I need to take these out to tell what they are under there, and it's going with a one covered and one bare, and I think that's probably maybe the way Jimmy Page's guitar looked at one point. I don't particularly dig that. I'd go either covered or uncovered. I wouldn't do one of each, but that's just me. The pick guard with Jimmy's signature on it, a fake Jimmy Page signature, that will come off just because I don't do pick guards. But yeah, guys, I'm going to quote the late Eddie Money and say, I think I'm in love, Jack. I mean, man, a little bit of playing. I'm just going to need to tweak this truss rod, change these strings, deal with some fret stuff. And I think that this good guitar is going to be another great guitar, another great chibi guitar. Now, I get it, guys. You don't have to buy a Gibson. For sure, you may not feel that you can because of the headstock and some ethical issues or personal issues, why you wouldn't ever want to buy a guitar that was a counterfeit or a replica is what I would call it. So just know that should I keep this guitar, and all evidence points to I'm going to, man, I just love that color, and it feels and plays like an LP. Man, I dig it. So I will do my research, and I will figure out how to fill in. These are kind of branded in just a little bit. They're indented in this mock serial number and made in the USA. I will fill that in maybe with UV resin or CA glue or something. Even if it means I have to sand the whole back of the neck, I will do that. And I will be looking at some creative ways of doing away with anything that says Gibson or gives anyone and the delusion that this is a Gibson LP made in the USA. Those of you who have LPs can look at this and you can hear it, and you can immediately see differences between this and a USA Gibson. I am not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I'm not trying to pretend this is a Gibson. If I were ever to sell this guitar, the first words in the ad would be not a Gibson. So guys, that is the adventure for now, and we will go under the hood in the videos coming up. But for now, let's check out some tones. So just without going into the amp or anything, just the natural kind of acoustic sound. this guitar's got a lot going for it, guys. I'm not encouraging you to buy one. I'm just saying if you got 200 bucks and you want a mod platform for an LP style guitar, might be the way to go. Maybe you want to check it out, maybe you don't. Hey man, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves, everybody. Gibson or not, baby. Catch you down the road.